2012. That's when our company was founded by Mr. Carl Lemley, our founder. Here he is a couple years later. He's very excited because in these pictures, he's opening up the gates to Universal City, one of the first of its kind, a movie studio. And yes, he even had a key made up to his city dedicated to making movies. And he invited audiences just like you guys. The movie-going public came here to watch movies being shot on that opening day. They could cheer for the good guy, boo the villain. All these silent westerns were being filmed out here in those first few years during the silent era of filmmaking. You can see how many movies you've made out to your left and right-hand side since that time. You can see how these Universal logo at the tops of the posters have been evolving, revolving along with us. But some things have stayed the same. We are still a city dedicated to making movies to this day. On your right-hand side, an indication of our cityhood, our fire station. Fire Station 51 with real animatronic firemen. No, I'm just kidding, they're real. And we've got a real sheriff station, post office, all the traffic's of a normal city. We're not exactly a normal city though, a pretty weird place. Carl Lemley used to call this the strangest city on earth. Back then, they had a school for young actors, a zoo with exotic animals. Today, we've got an entire theme park. Nobody lives in this city. People pretend to, but they're called actors. And places they pretend to live are called sets. The main place we build sets are in sound stages. We're coming up on our largest sound stage, actually. It was built at the beginning of the talkies, yeah? Late 1920s and 30s, for a big movie musical called Broadway. It's basically a big warehouse with walls 4 times thicker than your walls at home, so they can record sound in there. Funny enough, people still sing and dance inside this soundstage to this day. In fact, if you see the logo on the left with the V and follow it around the corner, you'll see the logo to The Voice.
Hi everybody, I'm Carson Daly from NBC's The Voice. I want to welcome you to the Universal front lot. Our show is filmed on stage 12. It happens to be the largest soundstage on the Universal lot. Take a look.
That's 100 plus years that soundstage has been there. It's made a lot of movies in that time. About 90 years. So Frankenstein, Dracula, Scarface's mansion, all built in that same soundstage. We can even make it look like it's outside in there. This scene from Couples Retreat looks like it's outside a hotel. No, it's in a soundstage. During the day, light it to look like nighttime, take out the floor, put in a pool, fill it with people. All of that is possible. This is what a soundstage looks like when it's empty. You can see it on your left as well, the inside of this soundstage. They're using this as a mill. They're building sets inside there. On your screen, this is what Soundstage 12 looks like on the inside. It's 2 football fields worth of free space. It really is just enormous. They built all of Gotham City in there for the Tim Burton directed Batman movie, in fact. So these soundstages, we got about 28 of them. They're our favorite places to film. We mostly shoot TV out here. Movies, they go to Vancouver, Georgia, Atlanta. They've got tax incentive reasons for doing that. And here we shoot mostly TV. We're a big TV company. NBC Universal. We have a lot of networks under that heading. NBC, E! Sci-Fi, USA, Bravo, Telemundo, the Golf Channel, CNBC, MSNBC, the Weather Channel, Oxygen, Esquire Network, NBC Sports. You get the idea. Let's focus on NBC because we make a lot of NBC shows here on the lot. NBC comedies, more specifically. And you love NBC comedies like Friends and Parks and Recreation, The Office, 30 Rock, right? Well, you can add Superstore to that list. They film right around us. In fact, in the soundstage behind us and on the left-hand side, Soundstage 21. Here's a little look at their show.
I know it's hot in here, but let's have some patience for one another.
Yeah, you know, the heat makes us all act.
If your face stays where it is, it's gonna get punched.
And yes, America Ferrera and Ben Feldman, you know her from Silicon Valley, or you know her from Ugly Betty, you know him from Silicon Valley and Mad Men. And they shoot on the inside of this soundstage. It actually looks like an interior superstore on the inside. Big plywood box, but on the inside it looks like a superstore. It's crazy what they can build inside these spaces. We also do a lot of reality TV shows here on the lot. I mentioned The Voice, Hollywood Game Night with Jane Lynch shoots here, American Ninja Warrior, America's Got Talent, Family Feud, talk shows like Steve Harvey's talk show, Steve, Access Hollywood, Home and Family on the Hallmark Channel. They all shoot here. Crazy. Up ahead is what we call Sitcom Alley. A lot of the classic TV shows like Jefferson's Who's the Boss, Different Strokes have shot here on the right. Recently, Good Girls, Abby's have shot up here. And my favorite sitcom on the air shoots up ahead. It's called The Good Place.
You, Eleanor Shellstrom, are dead.
Cool.
This location, the afterlife, come on. I've never ever seen this. You're in the good place.
I'm not supposed to be here. I can't risk going to the bad place.
Well, maybe it's not all that bad.
How can I help you?
What is the bad place like?
Well, it doesn't sound awesome.
You know what's awesome? If you're a fan of The Good Place, take a look to your right-hand side. You're going to recognize these nameplates here, right? This is the cast of the show. It's where they come to work every day. And they work inside Soundstage 44. These are their trailers on the right-hand side for Ted Danson and Kristen Bell. The interior soundstage has like Michael's office and Eleanor's house interiors. All of that stuff's in there. Super cool. I love this show. I think it's the best sitcom on the air right now. It was created by Michael Schur. He's got a fantastic track record. He wrote on SNL, and then he wrote on The Office. In fact, he played Mose on The Office, Dwight's brother. You might remember from the show. Then he went on to create Parks and Recreation with Amy Poehler, and then Brooklyn Nine-Nine with Andy Samberg, and then The Good Place. So really, he's done a lot of fantastic shows. Him and some of his staff, they actually work in some of the bungalows on the left-hand side. These bungalows are reserved for production directors, writers, producers. They all come to work here every day. Illumination Entertainment that makes our Minions movies, Despicable Me franchise. They work over here on the left. These used to be bungalows for the Golden Age stars. Rock Hudson, Tony Curtis, Doris Day, Jimmy Stewart, Lucille Ball. They had long contracts here at Universal. They'd spend years at a time here, known as contract players back then. These days, actors have short contracts, these trailers. We're coming up on 5195, known as Alfred Hitchcock's bungalow. It is the most famous bungalow on the lot because Alfred Hitchcock is the master of suspense. He made over 50 movies, knighted for his work as director. You can see his little silhouette there on your left. It's the 5195. And yeah, he's a big part of our history. He was here when he was shooting Alfred Hitchcock Presents and some of his biggest and best films, Vertigo, Psycho, The Birds, Rear Window. If you haven't seen a Hitchcock film, do yourself a favor. On your left-hand side is where we shoot Will and Grace back on the air after many years off the air. Very exciting to have the entire cast back here shooting their show. They are part of our NBC Thursday night lineup now, and I basically told you about all those shows. They're mostly shooting here. So on NBC Thursdays right now, you can see Superstore, The Good Place, Will and Grace, and Brooklyn Nine-Nine with Andy Samberg. They got a nice little poster up there. They recently moved from Fox back to our network. They've shot some of their scenes up ahead on the left. Oh, you guys, such a cool things happening on the back lot today. These are Metropolitan sets up ahead. Lots of big movies and TV shows have shot here. But today, it's rented out by all of these Porsche owners. And they're doing this kind of big get-together, this like convention. They've got all of their Porsches parked out here. They're wandering around taking pictures of all the cars. So they're all over the back lot today. They've kind of taken over our Metropolitan sets. But those same sets have been used for, you know, the early Spider-Man franchises, Batman and Robin, you know, recently American Ninja Warrior, Popstar Never Stop, Never Stop. I could go on and on. But the exterior sets is all that we build out here. The insides of those buildings is just a bunch of plywood to keep it all standing up. Because as soon as we go inside, we'd rather be in a soundstage. Also, all the brickwork and stonework you saw in those Metro sets, out there on the right, to the left, some of you, that's all made out of plastic, plywood, foam rubber, alternative materials. Yeah, not a single real brick or stone. Welcome to Hollywood, folks. It's all fake. In fact, we're going to head to an even faker environment. This one's all created in a computer still. You're going to feel like you're headed back to Skull Island for King Kong 360 3D.
That made me want to direct movies. I saw that movie on TV when I was around age 9. I wanted to become a filmmaker. I like films that just take you away from your real life and sweep you up on the edge. Kong literally does that. I mean, you're on board the ship, you're sailing to a lost island, you're encountering monsters and creatures from, you know, prehistoric times. So I was thrilled when Universal invited me back to Skull Island. And it's great to have you along for the ride. Now, we have created this 3D immersive experience, so you're going to have your glasses ready. Don't put them on yet, just have them in your hand because we're about to return to Skull Island.
That we are. So, ladies and gentlemen, keep your hands and arms inside the vehicle. No flash photography. Stay seated throughout the attraction. I recommend keeping your phone in your pocket, sit back, relax, and enjoy. Your phone's only have one eye and they can't see in 3D. They're only going to get blurry pictures anyway. All right, folks, go ahead and put on your 3D glasses. It's time. Put them on because we're headed back to Skull Island. and King Kong 360 3D. This King Kong 360 3D, pretty darn cool if you ask me. Not every day you get Peter Jackson and What a Digital to do a theme park attraction. These are, of course, the guys from the Lord of the Rings trilogy, the Hobbit trilogy, the King Kong movie. And recently, What a Digital's done a lot of other stuff. They've won 6 Academy Awards for their work in visual effects over the years. And recently worked on Avengers Endgame and Game of Thrones, right? The ones we're all enjoying right now. They did this back in 2010. Those screens 40 feet tall, 180 feet wide. They had quite the project. If you don't believe me, ask them yourselves.
With a project like the studio tour, the audience is in the middle of the environment. They're looking in all directions. There's creatures coming at them. They're seeing Kong from this side and T-Rexes from the other side.
Working on a movie, we always know people are looking straight ahead, they're looking at the shot that they're working on.
Here you have to take into account that people are looking in all directions.
Also, one of the things about this ride, unlike the movies that we're used to working on, there's no cuts because it's one giant shot. This tram that's driving along through Skull Island is where the camera's from.
This ring represents where the screen is 10 meters away.
We're really creating about 50 minutes of a feature film. That amount of visual information, that number of pixels, and presenting them to the audience, it's a hell of a ride.
You know, when we appeared at the end of the King Kong ride, that's not the first time that this Universal tram has showed up on screen. In fact, we've been around 55 years, so much a staple of Hollywood that we've been in multiple movies and TV shows. This is our old glamour tram. It's been around since 1964. They were in the first episode of the A-Team. That makes our Universal Tram an official picture car, and we've got more picture cars coming up on your left-hand side. Get out of camera, folks. Don't be unprepared like this lady. Look out! Oh my God. Mad Riders Ford Cobra Kit car, Magnum PI's Ferrari 308s. Back to the Future vehicles. Some from the distant year of 2015. Flintstones vehicles, if you want to go way back in time, the first environmentally friendly cars, all foot powered. Yeah. Invented by Elon Tusk, the environmentalist back then. Fast and Furious vehicles. Fast and Furious presents Hobbs and Shaw, comes out this summer. I'm excited about that one. Jurassic World Gyrosphere, never had any glass around it because that reflects the camera. So they added the glass digitally so that it wouldn't do that. Transformers vehicles. And hey, that's not even a Universal franchise. Thank you, Paramount. We appreciate it. We work with other entertainment companies all the time. Yeah, they can rent out parts of our lots. We collaborate on the theme park, right? We've got our Transformers ride in the park. Fox, thanks for the Simpsons. Warner Brothers, thanks for the Harry Potter stuff. Appreciate it. Right? It's a hodgepodge of all these different companies. You know, we also work with non-entertainment companies. Here's an example on your right. That's a Mercedes Jeep. It's called product placement, folks. They were driving around in the second Jurassic Park movie, Lost World Jurassic Park, yeah. Happens in almost every of our Fast and Furious films. Clinking Coronas by the end of every single film. E.T., this is a classic example of product placement. Some of you might even know it. E.T.'s peddling more than just bicycles. Anyone know? Yeah, it's the candy that Elliot leaves for E.T. They're the Reese's Pieces, yeah. Sales went up 60% within 2 weeks of in theaters for Reese's Pieces. That's yeah, good reason to do a little product placement. Folks, speaking of Classic Universal, we're headed back to a Classic Universal location. Some of you know where we are, to the rest of you.
Welcome to Jurassic Park.
You're surrounded by set pieces, vehicles, and props from the Jurassic franchise. On the left is the mobile lab, you might remember from the Lost World Jurassic Park. Oh no, dinosaurs, watch out! I know, while you're busy screaming, your mouth is open. And that dinosaur might be spitting in it, so careful. See these really big tree trunks on your left-hand side? These are made out of styrofoam, foam rubber. Yeah. You can put those anywhere on the back lot. It starts to look more like Jurassic Park. You know, we can really transform the lot. It's pretty crazy what they can do. Here's a great example. This is the mobile lab you just saw a second ago. It's falling over a cliff face in Jurassic Park, second movie, Lost World. This is actually a parking structure on the back lot, but we dressed it up to look like a cliff face and hung the mobile lab over with a giant crane. Something I've noticed about the Jurassic Park movies, seems like every time the T-Rex attacks, well, that's got to be a big deal, right? The first time in the movie that you see the T-Rex. So here's what we do. Every time, we make sure that it's raining, it's nighttime, and they're stuck in a vehicle, and then, boom, the T-Rex attacks, right? Always makes it climactic. You know what else helps? The weather. That weather is the most important part. Here in sunny Southern California, we don't get much weather of our own. We like it that way. Gives us the creative control to make it rain anytime we want here on the back lot. Oh, looks like some of the folks checking out the Porsches are going to look at our weather effects here on the back lot as well. Check it out. We're going to make it rain right now. Now that is our rain effect. It's pretty magical. You stick your head out, you can see where it's coming from the sprinkler heads, and that's less magical, yeah. But you can crop that out, and suddenly, you know, you can send that to your friends. They can't tell you it's not raining here in LA today. Same thing in a movie, right? Your imagination fills in the rest. Problem is, if you're trying to get a picture of that rain, it's very difficult to do so. They have the same trouble on set. Rain's clear. They have to light it properly. In the old days of Hollywood, they'd add milk powder to the rain. Yeah. But don't worry, keep your phone out because there's a flash flood coming down that hill. And if you're in a blue seat, you might get wet. By the way, they're all blue. Enjoy. Thousands of gallons of water used in this movie, Big Fat Liar, with Frankie Muniz, Amanda Bynes, Paul Giamatti. On your left-hand side is Old Mexico, used for the classic Three Amigos with Steve Martin, Chevy Chase, and Martin Short. Nacho Libre with Jack Black, Westworld, Season 1. Love that show. Speaking of Westworld, we're headed to 6 Points, Texas, one of the most classic sets on the lot. This is where all these cowboys have moseyed over the years in the early days of Universal. The black and white silent film era. Moviegoers would come out here and cheer for the good guy and boo the villain as they watched the cowboy movies filmed live in front of them. And they'd be eating a chicken sandwich. This had been a chicken ranch before it was a movie studio. They could buy one for, let's see, a nickel. Yeah, back then in 1915. Recently, we had Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt out here shooting Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, the 9th Quentin Tarantino movie. Very exciting. That's coming out this summer. Check out the trailer. See Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt sitting on those sets. On the left-hand side is Park Lake, used for our classic monster movie, Creature of the Black Lagoon. Which brings me to the monster movie. We created the monster movie in 1930s. Yes, the Great Depression. The Great Depression was tough. We had to survive it. We created all these Universal monsters.
Dracula, Frankenstein,
The Mummy.
On the left are the sets of Little Europe. Little Europe played all of Europe in those classic monster films. Right now it's playing The Good Place in The Good Place. It played Tortuga in Pirates of the Caribbean versus Black Pearl. Look at this real rain. You couldn't get a picture of that, that's for sure. We make our rain 4 times thicker than real raindrops, so you can see. You need it. Make it show up. Ladies and gents, we're headed inside Soundstage 50, meant to look like a San Francisco subway station, used for this episode of Bones with David Boreanaz and Emily Deschanel.
When I talked to him about in his office. That's with the FBI? FBI, yeah. Hear about the human remains. That's him. Right over there.
Oh, yeah. He's using this episode of Bones, and it looks like a hot set right now. We've got signs, okay. All right, we're getting a little California trooper, it feels like. So stay seated, stay calm. I think oh my goodness, okay. This is a little bit more crazy than usual. I typically sleep through these things. All right, just stay seated, stay calm, keep laughing, smiling here, we find it. You know, as long as the roof doesn't come down, in which case you could be in real trouble. It's coming down. No, what the? propane tank driver. That guy looks scared stiff. Either that or he's a real dummy. Come on, buddy, boot or lose it. Oh my goodness. I'm so sorry. This is not my fault. It's San Andreas' fault. Uh-oh. Watch out. On your left. Boy, this is turning out to be a real train wreck of a tour. Oh no. Do I see a sequel? You guys like sequels, though, right? Anthony, get us out of here. Come on, Anthony, before they all realize they have to pee. Ladies and gents, you just survived earthquake, the big one. Well done, man. I do that 3-4 times a day. I freak out every time. You guys really kept it together. Very chill, very calm and collected. You know, they did use that exact same episode. Bones. David Boreanaz, Emily Deschanel. It's the same earthquake effect in that episode. These were all the rage in the 70s. Remember disaster movies, earthquakes, flash floods? Using mechanical parts, right? They started to refine these techniques. They were able to create mechanical monsters, dinosaurs, aliens, sharks. These were often headed up by our spirit animal, Mr. Steven Spielberg. You might have heard of him, huh? Folks, we're headed back to Amity, a quiet New England town, once terrorized by a great white man-eating shark. Don't worry, they caught the shark. He's hanging up on the right. They arrested him earlier. He's still smiling for his mugshot. See him? Yeah. The best and brightest police boat scuba divers are out there. They're arresting every shark in the harbor. The boys in blue, the deep blue, that is. Okay, all right. I do see a fin in the water, but we shouldn't profile. It could be a dolphin. What do you see, buddy? Shark, dolphin? Uh-oh. I don't know what you're saying, buddy, but you got such guts being out there. Oh my goodness, there they are. Okay, not a good sign, but we're gonna park here behind this dock with all these flammable gasoline barrels. Okay, don't worry about that. There is a bait buoy out there. Hopefully the shark grabs onto that and leaves us alone. Let's hope for the best here. Okay, good. He grabbed the bait buoy. Uh-oh, he's dragging that whole dock with him. Is that a gas leak? Oh, no. Talk about a hot set. Well done, Bruce. Bruce the mechanical shark, everybody. Working his tail off out there. Well done, buddy. Well done. You're killing it, Bruce, really. And Bruce is what they called him on set, by the way. Steven Spielberg named him after his lawyer. True story. They had a lot of problems with Bruce, though. He sank to the bottom of the ocean on the first day filming Jaws, yeah. They started to call the film Flaws after a while. It got pretty bad.
He doesn't much rely on shark. The shark is frustrated. It didn't really work. It didn't work hardly at all.
Wherever you were on the they were always saying, the shark is not working. The shark.
We just waited and waited. We just waited and waited and waited. The shark well enough for a while.
Yo's the shark everything. The original director of Jaws kept referring to the shark as a whale. Guess what? That guy got fired. Steven Spielberg, hired onto the film, 25 years old. Look at him. This is crazy. And he'd never done anything like this before, by the way. He's making short films. He was an editor's assistant at Universal. Got this big opportunity. His first choice, let's take a shark that's only been tested in fresh water to the real Atlantic Ocean. Oh, that was a mistake. Saltwater mechanical parts don't work so well together. It sank again and again. The movie was supposed to come out in the winter of '74. It came out 150 days late because of the shark problems in the summer of '75. Universal thought no one would see the film that summer. Everyone would be at the beach, right? Guess what? No one was at the beach. They went and saw Jaws. They were scared out of the water. It became the first summer blockbuster, right? Now all the big movies come out in the summer. That started with Jaws. It was the biggest blockbuster, biggest amount of money anyone had made on a movie up until that point. And Steven Spielberg's career was launched. He'd go on to make some of our biggest and best films, so you know I'm going to talk more about him. But that area down there was never used for Jaws. It's Cabot Cove. from Murder, She Wrote, starring Angela Lansbury, who you just saw at the end of Mary Poppins Returns recently. On the right-hand side is another classic set, The Best Little Whorehouse in Texas, from Dolly Parton and Burt Reynolds shot right there. Party Rockin' in the House Tonight, the LMFA music video shot there as well as House of a Thousand Corpses. Oh, some of you are going to get excited about this street, because you're going to recognize it as Wisteria Lane from ABC's Desperate Housewives. Yeah. People love that show. Yes, that's Gabby's house on Desperate Housewives on your left-hand side. It's right next to this big lilac house. Guess what? That's the original Munsters house, 1313 Mockingbird Lane. We're very smart. We reappropriated our monsters from the 1930s, put them in a sitcom format. Voila. All kinds of new fun can be had. This was very popular at the time, right? Sabrina the Teenage Witch, The Addams Family, take a spooky family, put them in suburbia, fun ensues. And this street's been used for a lot of that kind of creepy, interesting suburban stuff. Buffy the Vampire Slayer shot here. They did the Emmy-nominated episode Hush with demons floating down this street on a silent episode of TV. And it was also used for The Burbs with Tom Hanks and Carrie Fisher. Casper the Friendly Ghost. Steve Ricci shot right here. Nellyville. A lot of music videos. Smash Mouth's All-Star from the movie Mystery Men. That music video shot here. Michael Bublé music videos shot out here. Lots of commercials as well. There's a big Geek Squad ad that shot out here. Recently KFC came and rented this street for a week. On the left-hand side, the beige house is the Ace Hardware house. You see it at the end of every Ace Hardware ad, right? It says Ace right next to it. Boom. Little tail plate. And some other classic TV houses. On the right-hand side, they use this mustard-colored house for the Hardy Boys movie. On the left-hand side, this stone house is the the Leave It to Beaver movie house. And up on the right-hand side, this was where Jimmy Stewart imagined a big invisible bunny in the classic film Harvey, that beige house. If anybody gets that, they're going to be like, oh my goodness, I love that movie. It is very good. Saw it as we went down the timeline. Here's one to take a picture for your grandpa, okay? Matlock's house is the greenhouse on the left, all right? Take a picture. Grandpa's going to be thrilled. We're going to head up this hill, and I want to talk a bit about home. I can't help but notice there's a car parked there. That's weird, right, Anthony? Okay. Let's call that into security. Sorry, there's not supposed to be. He doesn't even have a drive-on pass, never mind a license plate, huh? Why am I getting flashbacks to an angry bald guy driving that car? That's so weird. Okay, I'm sure it won't be consequential. Let's talk about Spielberg. Now, he kind of defines our studio. For many of us, when we think about Universal, we think about Jurassic Park and E.T., right? E.T. flying over the moon. And you know, I think that that's very apropos. I think that Universal shines its best when we're doing horror, suspense, and action, thriller movies. And it goes back to our entire history, the monster movies in the 30s, the suspense films of Hitchcock, and the films of Steven Spielberg, kind of hailing back to that entire history. However, we've done a lot of different stuff. You guys, we just won our 10th Best Picture winner this year with Green Book. Huge deal. Mahershala winning his first Oscar. Amazing. Not only that, we've made a lot of great comedies over the years. My favorite are the Jim Carrey movies. Liar, Liar, Bruce Almighty, Truman Show, Man on the Moon. They all shot right here at Universal. Let's not forget that holiday classic that we celebrate here just about every year, also starring Jim Carrey. We're going to head back to Whoville, ladies and gents, from Dr. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas.
One of the biggest creative challenges that we faced on How the Grinch Stole Christmas was to bring the storybook world of Dr. Seuss to life. Some of the most talented artists in Hollywood worked for months to create a living, breathing Whoville. When it was all done, they built an entire city. And a fantasy world of Dr. Seuss became a reality.
You're seeing a small portion of that reality relative to the scale of production. 11 sound stages were all filled with these Grinch sets. One was just for putting ooze and makeup every day. Every single actor needed that, who knows? But if you thought they had a bad neighbor in Whoville, it's a whole lot worse here on the back lot. They live next door to a real psycho.
We have 12 vacancies. 12 cabins, 12 vacancies.
Can't imagine why. I hear the Continental Breakfast is to die for. Gotta check it out myself. Oh my goodness, is that Norman Bates? From Alfred Hitchcock's classic film Psycho. Shot in black and white, even though it was the color era. Hitchcock felt it made the movie scarier, and oh my goodness, I think Norman has a body out there? Okay, maybe not. Just letting yourself off easy there, Norman. Maybe she's just very tired, got a bad night's rest at the Bates Motel. Okay, he is looking rather sinister, isn't he? Okay, Norman, did you just notice we're here? Oh, that's a big scary knife, isn't it? Okay, we're gonna check out of the Bates Motel. How about that? We're gonna leave, Norman. Buddy, why don't you hide the knife? Norman, hide the knife. Not in someone, Norman. Okay, easy, buddy, easy. You guys okay back there? Let me get a thumbs up so I can make sure he didn't cut it off. Okay, great. All right, that's awesome. Awesome. Good to see. Folks, we're gonna head up the Psychopath. Yeah, the Psycho House is up on the left-hand side. It's built at 7/8 scale, makes it look further away on the hill. It's actually built smaller. You aren't even paying attention. You're looking at that big set behind it. That's the incredible plane crash site from Steven Spielberg's War of the Worlds. Based on the book by H.G. Wells and the radio play by Orson Welles, all about an alien invasion. Starring Tom Cruise and Dakota Fanning. Guess what? That's a real 747 on the left. Real plane. $60,000 to buy it from a junkyard. Pretty good deal. Hasn't been in the skies since the 70s. How do I know the ashtrays? They kind of give it away, don't they? 60 grand to buy the plane. Pretty good deal. 200 grand to get it shipped here on the back of flatbed trucks on freeways at night. Yeah. That's a lot. So look at that. That's a $300,000 set all around you. It was used for less than 4 minutes of the final film. I want to see some of those 4 minutes if I were you. Here they are.